and you'll see those emotions start to drain. You'll see the stress in your life start to go down, and you can do something about that on your own, which is the reason why I'm excited about it. And I know you know I'm excited about every one of these sessions, but each one of them builds in the other and just gives you more and more enrichment in your relationship. And this other session we're going to get to next time, it gives you a handle on your own happiness. So you don't have to be so dependent upon circumstances or other people or your job and all these things. And so I know you'll love it. So it's coming, and I'm excited about it. Well, now we get a chance to interact with these couples again and things they've wanted to share, you know, with their mate, and they didn't seem to, you know, get it the way they wanted them to, so they made a word picture. And they've been involved in these videos, they've seen it, and so they've been practicing, and so we're going to get a chance to do that right now. So who wants to start and be the first ones?
Gary, that reminds me of a good one recently that happened. We're just approaching our 20-year anniversary in our marriage, and we've noticed the different things seem to set you off in different areas. And I was, as a guy will be, kind of oblivious, just said, it'll blow over. And Crean got me with a good one. I'm very sensitive to animals and kind of feel for them. And she reminded me of some years back when we were driving along and the dog came out of the ditch and ran right into the side of our van and spun off. Well, instantly, she reminded me, I pulled over.
Big bang.
Yeah, just heard the noise, and your heart kind of sinks, and pulled over right away, ran back, and, you know, tried to do what you could and realized, you know, fortunately, didn't run over it. So, but it was stunned, and, you know, you give all that feeling to it and everything, and decided, found the owner was up there and took it back, and they said, well, I think it'll be okay, and so you stayed until you were sure, and then had to go on your way. But after work that day, reminded me, I called back to make sure it was okay, and all the feeling and this whole thing, and brought back all these emotions.
You felt
going,
terrible.
oh yeah, just all that whole day, just worrying about it and everything, and wanted to make sure it was okay right at that moment. And then so I'm back, and all those emotions are coming through. You should tell them with a line that you hit me with.
Well, I was trying to express, you know, the way I wish he would treat me. That he gave that dog so much compassion and love because he injured it accidentally.
Right.
I mean, he never intends to injure me.
Right.
But if he would just do the same thing that he did for that dog.
Yeah, what was that? Yeah, that line that you told me when you first said, yeah.
When he injures me sometimes, I feel like he had hit and run. And I was abandoned.
Leave her there.
You were laying along the side of the road.
Even they're hurting and just drive away.
Now, you didn't put it in reverse and back.
At least didn't do that.
No.
Huh?
But see, if that happened, you could say, I even felt like then not only was it hit and run, but you did put it in reverse, you know, and then you're off to work and doing your thing, and I'm there on the road bleeding. And you never even took the time to find out, you know, is somebody going to care? Now, what would happen, for example, in your life that would make you feel like that? Give me the real thing.
Well, it can be the littlest things. I mean, it's not ever the big things if the kid breaks her arm or something, but it's the littlest things where he might just say, you know, you really need to spend more time with the kids.
Yeah.
Something critical a lot of times.
So for you, something critical, boom, it hits you.
If it's, you know, another pebble on top
Right.
of, you know, I just can't take anymore.
Right. So he's been throwing those little pebbles, and they're building up, and so now it's a pretty good-sized rock. Wham! Side of the car, ditch, bleeding.
And then I go silent, and he knows that I'm injured.
Yeah.
And that's hard, where you know that you've done something, but it's that same thing. You're not sure what necessarily. Sometimes I know, obviously, but quite often you're not quite sure, or at least it wasn't that big of a thing.
Right.
But you know that she's injured, and instead of doing something right away, kind of like you did in the example.
And how did you feel instantly when she gave you this word picture?
Instantly, that I could relate. I would have instantly tried to solve that solution with the animal, but a lot of times because I don't express things as easily as I wish I could.
You didn't know she hit the side of the car, did you?
No.
No. So when you hear it, you go, oh, I didn't know you hit the side. Yeah. So then don't you have the desire to get out and see how she's doing?
Well, he is really good about coming back. Like that one time he sent me just one rose at work.
Okay.
And that, you know, or maybe just a phone call.
But let's look at it this way. There's times where he's going to hit you. Let's say let's say you're a woman and you've run out on the street and he's hit you. Let's say he had the music so loud in the car that you didn't even notice it. You looked in your rearview mirror and saw something flopping around back there. We thought, wow, that's strange. You really didn't pay that much attention to it. Now, when she brings it up to you, then you go, oh, I did see something in the rearview mirror, but I didn't know that was you. I didn't realize. Then we can go back to the thing about the open and closed spirit. You can hug, you can... Okay, let me ask you this question. Once he feels, and you sort of answered this already, but once you think he feels your pain, let's say, through the word picture, it's one of the best ways to get us to feel a word picture, what would you appreciate him doing? And you've mentioned it already, like a rose, a call. Are there additional things that he could do for you as a unique person to make you feel like he's gone back there, seen what the leg conditions are in your body, and went to see the owner and stuff, and then made that phone call in the afternoon? What are some additional things he could do?
Well, if you would just express that I am very valuable to him, and just say, you know, I'm sorry, I would never mean to hurt you.
Okay.
Those type of things, just the soft words.
How about I love you?
Yes, that would be nice.
Okay, that's good.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Are you the kind of a person that likes to express I love you? Is that easy for you?
No, real hard.
Real hard.
Real hard. The
Did you get it?
verbal side is real hard. I can
Okay.
demonstrate.
All
real easy.
right.
The verbal side is something that I...
But did you see her facial expression when she said,
Oh, yeah.
yes, I would love that? And now, is it easy for us to say, for me, for example, to say, no, it's not easy for me because I didn't come from a home where I ever heard my mom and dad ever say I love you. I never saw them hug. I saw a lot of fights and arguments. So when I say that I love Norma, like this morning on the phone, yesterday on the phone, I'll say I love you. And I have to make a decision to do that, but I can say it. I can say it to my kids now easier. And the more I do it, I just keep doing it. Now it's pretty much like breathing. But for a long time, I want to admit to you, and anybody else had that hard time? You had a hard time, Chuck,
Sure.
saying
Yeah.
I love you?
Yeah, I think
Do the
it
words
is.
just sort of stick in your throat? And you're, huh?
And again, I'm the same kind of personality as you are. It's hard for me to verbalize feelings. And so then I'll cry or something, and I'm not supposed to. I'm supposed to. I was raised, big boys don't cry. So
Right.
that's right there. I have to work through that.
But we just do it. And let me just ask one more personal question if I could. Then I could ask you, actually, each lady here, and each guy, it would be good to hear what the guys say. How often, if you could get the best, would you love to hear him say verbally, I love you?
Well, I wouldn't want to be too greedy. But I would like to hear it at least once a day.
Ooh,
At least once
isn't that great? Let's get another one.
Probably our hardest area of our relationship is communicating when we're mad at each other.
Right.
We're in an angry situation. She can talk right now about how she feels, and I have no skill to do that. I'd rather never talk about it, type of thing. So we use the analogy of a tennis game, where when Barb would send a sentence over to me, I'd let it go. I'm not going to, there it goes, and she'll send another one over the net, and I let it go, and pretty soon she's slamming those balls over as fast as she can, and then I'll feebly put out my little racket, and I'll maybe pop one back, and it floats up to the net, and she rushes up and smashes it down her throat. So the word picture was to Barb, I need my balls to bounce and come up nice and high, and then I'll hit them back to you. But I can't, all these balls coming at me, there's no way. And we play
Right.
tennis, and so she could
Good.
see that I was being overwhelmed by the amount of balls coming at me. And when I did try to put one back, she'd smash it at me, and so
Right.
why would I go through that? You know?
Exactly.
And we realized that when I would hit the ball back immediately, I was answering too soon. He wasn't aware that I was in touch with my feelings immediately. He didn't feel heard. So when he said he wanted the ball to bounce and come up real high, I thought, it took me a while to realize what that meant.
And would you have liked to have her hold it for a while? Look
Don't
at
have
it?
to hold it. Just let it bounce.
Just
She'd
let it
never
bounce. Okay.
It'd
But
come
what
up
if
in
she
that
would have
bang.
held it for just a few seconds,
Yeah.
contemplated, pondered it?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that's
Well,
what
the
he
bounce
wanted.
does that for me.
Okay, all
See,
right.
if she was bouncing,
Okay.
it comes up through.
See,
Right.
my word picture back to him was if it comes up 4 inches,
Right.
it's called, and you hit it real close to the ground, it's called a half volley.
Yeah.
And I'd say, if I ever do let it bounce, I half volley it right
Yeah.
back to you. And so then he knew that I understood what he was saying.
That's good. I
So
like
that's
it.
helped us. And then what he meant with the ball bouncing and coming up real high was, I want some time spent before you say anything.
I got it. Do you guys have a?
Yeah.
Yes.
We've talked about this a couple of times, and I think it's real pertinent to our lives. I'm a pretty hard driver, literally, and the word picture that we...
As a dentist, hard driver.
Yeah, right. The patients are in love with that. But we really in our lives mainly are dealing with the fact that I'm pushing, and Trish wants me to slow down. And the example that I used was being a race car driver. That I have an image of myself out there wanting to do the best, and the goal is driving this Formula One race car until I.
So it's Formula One. It's not a Porsche.
It's the real thing. You know, I mean, I want to qualify for Indianapolis 500, and I want to get the checkered flag. I've set a high goal. Okay. In the process of doing that, I see Trish and the kids as my pit crew. And they sometimes feel like it's the pits because of the driving that I'm going through. And so what we've talked about is that I'm in such a hurry to win this race to qualify for the next one, and that's my daily procedure. That I'm coming in to the pits and the first few laps or whatever, and I'm stopping. They're there and they're supporting me. They're changing the tires. They're fueling me up.
And you're racing down on a hot day because I can see the sweat falling off.
That's right.
And so that's how you're feeling.
I got the asbestos suit
that's
on.
right. So that's why you're sorry. That's right.
So I'm in there and I'm racing, and they're fine. They do great for a while, and they hold up the numbers, and they tell me how many more laps I got to go until I come home at 5:30 in the evening or 6 or whatever it is. Well, then after a while, it's like I'm coming in and I'm give me my water. I got to get a drink of water. I'm thirsty. Change the tires, get the gas. I got to go. And in the process of doing that, I'm losing track of them. I'm not saying, gosh, you guys are the greatest pit crew. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be able to drive this car, and I wouldn't have this great career that I've got. And you guys are the ones that are there for me, always supporting me.
So how often do you praise them on this?
Well, see, I mean, I'm guilty of having to back off and saying thanks. I mean, I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. I'm glad you're there. They stop holding numbers up. I don't know how many more laps I got to go. I run out of gas sometimes on the track, and I'm embarrassed in front of all these people in the stands because it's like, hey, we don't care whether he finishes or not. I mean, big deal.
We start letting air out of the tires so he'll.
They're sticking nails out there on the track before I run out.
That's a great one.
And so that's.
Do you guys all have cars in this race too? Are you?
Well, we'd like him to get in our family Chevy and just in the 4-door Chevy and just take it easy and cruise with us. We're happy to support him throughout the week.
Yeah.
He's going strong, but when we're that pit crew, we don't want to get run over.
Yeah.
And we want him, and then when it's time then to have fun and time for the weekends, we want to just kind of cruise and enjoy him, and we don't want to be on
instead of me getting in there and saying, okay, let's have a picnic, let's go really, let's get out of the way.
Let's do 5 things today at the picnic.
We can get there.
We don't want to do that. We want to,
That's good. Now, has that helped you understand?
Oh, yeah.
When they say to you, let's get in the Chevy today and just take a leisurely ride, then all right. Is that easy for you to do, though?
No, I've got to consciously think about it. I've got to consciously think, slow down, place a value on what they think is important.
Right.
And value them, honor what they think is important.
And does he do that then at times?
At times, it's a struggle. It is, like you said,
But
it's
at
very
times,
difficult.
You do.
At times.
Which helps us if we have a word picture.
Right.
Give me some real specifics. And you're going to be saying to him, but same to all of us, what 2, 3, 4, we can keep, maybe even come in and give some suggestions on what could he do that would make you feel, and the kids, that you were in the Chevy 4-door family car driving out to have a picnic. What are some of the things that he would do specifically that would make you feel that way?
Just like maybe one day a week, give us his undivided attention, or maybe not even that often, maybe even twice a month. Okay. And by undivided attention, not other people involved in that, not the cellular phone or anything. Just
leave the cellular phone at home.
Undivided attention.
Undivided attention. And see, she's saying once or twice.
We'd be happy, twice a month. Just
twice a month.
Once a week would be great.
Okay, let's ask around. Should it be twice a month or?
Shoot, I'd do it every day if I could. I'd love to do it at least once a week. It's so much fun.
But watch how we let's just milk this generally, okay? let's ask generally, how many times a week would you love to be in that Chevy relaxed, if you could?
Once a week.
Once a week.
Once a day.
Once a day, newlyweds.
Well, I think I'd be probably easy on him, just to let him ease into it and
Yeah.
say, like Trish, she'd be satisfied with twice a month.
I know
Twice a
I'll
month.
ease into. I'll have to ease into it, knowing the type of person that he is. I can't just say, okay, we got to have this twice
No,
a
you
week.
can't
or
say
else.
that, but if he came to you and said, if I could give you the best, and our relationship was really good and the best, what would the best be to you?
Once a week, 1 day a week.
The best. He said, okay. Thousands of people heard him say, okay.
Now, on the other hand, Gary, what
Yeah.
I'd like to do is, does the pit crew ever, when he accomplishes a good month or his 19 goal fillings in a row or whatever it is he's doing, does the pit crew ever lifting up on their shoulders and tell him how wonderful he is?
Always.
Do you? So that's
Yeah, they're great
yeah.
supporters.
So it's just a one-way deal.
Oh.
I'm the bad guy.
That's a good try.
And a lot of it, when we get to the personality section, which is down the road, the 6th session, that session will help couples understand why we tend to be so different as husband and wife. And that'll just bring so much more clarity into it so we can relax about each other and even give us more practical help in understanding and fixing the situation. Because we really are unique and different in personalities, and that's a wonderful session to help us in this very process right here.
You know, everyone's different, though, because I feel like I'm real simple-minded. I listen to all these detailed word pictures, and I think, ooh, and I get kind of, I'm gone
Yeah.
half the way.
Yeah.
I need it right there. And
Simple,
yeah, just simple to the
understandable.
point.
Right.
Rich has a real, we've done a lot of family of origin work,
Yeah.
and Rich has a real hard time with my family,
Okay.
the way they treated me.
Right.
They never listened to me.
Yeah. Affirmed you.
Affirmed me,
Yeah.
nothing. I was always wrong.
Critical.
Real criticized me all the time. So when Rich gets real bad, I just say, Rich, you know, it's starting to feel like my family.
Ooh.
And immediately he goes right back.
And the reason
I'm
he
sorry.
feels that is because he's already said, your family has been tough on you. So then when you say that he's a combination of the family, he goes, ugh, because he's already got those emotions there. In fact, let's go from this word picture, because most of our word pictures have been struggles and understanding conflict and so on. You can use those for the very thing we talked about, struggles, but you can also use it for praise. You can also use it just for clarification and for deep intimacy, saying, this is who I am. You can make up any word picture or have some object that you can see. So let's get some examples of praise or intimacy or just clarification, some of the other areas.
I think Bob is such a calming effect on me. I'm a little more extroverted, and he's a real sensitive, quiet, you know, nonverbal
Right.
type. But what he adds to my life is what I need the most, and that's why, probably why I wanted to marry him.
So what's a word picture that would explain? Yeah.
He, to me, is like a calm lake, glass,
Huh.
that I just want to go out and be on that lake and just float.
Float on
and,
one of those big swimming pool
yeah.
things. Just get on it
And
have
it's
your
so
iced tea.
peaceful, and it's stable.
And the weather when he's around is calmer, isn't it?
Right.
Okay.
He's so consistent, and I always know if I've
It's
had.
not like those Midwest storms we've been having lately.
No.
Yeah, right.
No, he
Yeah.
rarely.
See, that's what my wife is to me. She's the calming. She's that front coming through, high pressure front, which clears out the sky and is calmer. Whereas I'm more like you. So I can tell our newlyweds are.
I was just going to say, Corinne has been the same, or has the same effect on me. Work can get very, I mean, most jobs can get you can get very uptight, very, I guess, stressed and tense about certain things, hoping you meet deadlines, hoping things go through as you try to work them through. But the way she speaks, and, you know, usually when I come home, she's also works, but I guess she can handle it better than I can, but she has a very calming effect on me. And I was just thinking, when she was mentioning the lake, I was thinking of like a nice hot bath. Not that I take baths very often, but when I do, it's very relaxing, very calming.
in there.
Yeah.
So she's like a refreshing hot bath. See, that's a praise. She'll remember that for a long time.
I'm glad I'm hot.
That's true. I mean, the newlyweds, that's exactly true. Okay, good.
I don't know if Barb would be flattered with this at all. I never told her, but we have a puppy.
Yeah.
Well, and I would picture her as this puppy because she's stable. She gives me unconditional love.
Yeah.
She's always available.
Yeah.
She's always happy.
Yeah.
She's always up.
Yeah.
She's always enthusiastic.
Yeah.
And I tend to get down once in a while, and she's always there. And I might not even feed her once in a while, and she'd still be bounding up, saying how wonderful I am. And
That's great.
That's who she is. She's very consistent. I love that.
I should ask her, does that encourage you? Does that?
Yes, it really does. Yeah. But that's really funny because I thought of a word picture just for Molly too. We lost a dog after 17 years, and I was never going to have another dog. So we were in a pet store one day, and when we came out, tears dropped off
No,
Chuck's
my eyes
cheeks.
just got moist. Tears.
So I went home the next week, and I bought him a puppy.
Ah.
And this puppy is a stubborn terrier. We've only had Cocker Spaniels before. Now, this is a different dog. But she's funny.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, Chuck is funny. I mean, he's always
funny.
coming up with cute things to say. And he'll say to me very often, "Thank you so much for Molly. She makes me laugh."
Huh.
So I was thinking, thank you so much for Chuck. He makes me laugh.
That's true. Super. Yep.
When Trish and I were first dating, I told her that I felt like that I had found, down in Arkansas, there's a place where you can dig for diamonds. There's a place down there that if you know that they're there and you can look for them. You know, I felt like that Trish was this uncut diamond that no one else had noticed, you know, that was down there that just nobody found her, and I could see her potential, and I feel like as we've grown together, you know, all the rough edges are being taken off, and the light's just brilliant coming out of her now, you know, as
Your race
we've
car
grown.
ness is probably chipping some of it.
That's right. That's right.
That's true. Well, in fact, when I thought of that, are those the Arkansas diamonds, or these the real diamonds?
No, they're real.
These are the real ones, because I know
an area
there's
down
that thing, that zirconium thing that you can get down there.
This is
We're talking the real thing.
And they've proven that this is an area. Yeah, this is an area that they have a tremendous number of them there. You know, and you know, you can find a big stone. And
I could have asked her, did that affect you? Did you appreciate that?
Not much.
Yeah.
That's great. Anyone else?
Do you mind if I share another one?
Yeah, right. Go ahead.
When Corinne and I were dating, I remember discussing with her, you know, where we were going and what our plans were, or were going to be, and some of the things that had happened. We discussed our past, you know, our lives and what had happened, and I remember referring to her as a flower that had, you know, that was that maybe was a little bit not, I don't want to say damaged, but that needed a little bit of help, and you know, I wanted to do that. You know, I wanted to bring that out in her, and the flower part of it reminded me of her. So
When things are in harmony and when we're really getting along and things are really clicking, didn't happen for a long, long time. But it reminds me of the soothing effect of, like when we're at San Diego and we're walking on that beach and that ocean's coming in. There's nothing more soothing in this world to me than the ocean, and that's what you give to me in Phoenix, is the ocean. So
I think of us as, I've always loved music boxes and the little dancers on top, and the man is holding the woman. They're going around and they're dancing to the beautiful music. We have the music and we dance together.
10 years ago, what was that box like?
It broke. I threw it.
Okay, well, I tell you. Well, we could go into intimacy is sort of what we're doing here because you're going deeper into expressing feelings. Intimacy is when you share word pictures about who you are and what you're feeling as an individual. And those can bring tears without exception. And so I just feel like as couples, as you practice these, as you see the emotions here, the same emotions can be in your own home. And I don't think a lot of times we realize how deeply we feel things when word pictures are used. So I just encourage you to continue it, and I know they will improve and encourage your relationship. Well, you're doing great. This is our 5th session together. This is an important one because it's for those who want a closer friendship with their loved ones, children, mate, friends. I mean, we're going to show you how to take everyday experiences and turn them into bonding sessions where you can actually feel more connected, more emotionally bonded. Or you can create your sessions where you will see how this can be drawing you together in a close-knit friendship. You can do it at work, you can do it at home. It's something you can apply anytime you want. So you can get active in doing it. You don't have to wait passively to become close-knit. Because you know what? All of us from time to time want that closer bond. So you can do something about it. That's going to be the first half of this session. We're going to give you a bonus. The second half, another whole session, both of them are shorter, is a way, a method where you can reduce the negative emotions that you don't want anyway. I mean, if I asked you to raise your hand and say, hey, I'm tired of too much anger, hurt feelings, envy, worry, jealousy, even depression. You're tired of those things. Well, if you want to reduce those dragging on us, really, emotions, you can do something about it. I'll show you why we get so stressed. What's the basic underlying cause of these negative emotions so you can recognize it, do something about it, correct it, and see them start to drain out of your life. In fact, you're going to see them replaced with emotions like more love, more rest, be more relaxed. You're going to see it, and you can do something about it, and it's an exciting time, so let's get right into it. Okay, this is one of my favorite sessions because it's really special to our family especially, and I've seen it work so many times in families across the world. What does it take to be a close-knit family? Now, I know there are a number of things that you can do, but there's one thing in specific that we can do that I have found works almost instantly. And the way I found this was doing my own research because, see, we were not close as a family when I was growing up, so I didn't want the same kind of family. So I wanted to reverse some of the bad habits that I'd learned naturally and find out what does it take to have the right kind of marriage and family and friendships and so on. So here's part of the way this works. Now, keeping in mind, if we review here for a moment, if we close a person's spirit while we're doing this activity that we'll talk about, then it could do harm. It doesn't cause us to be closed. So there are a number of other factors that enter in here. But that closed spirit causes us to not be close friends. Open spirit gives us the basis of being able to be really close. But when we do something specific, it's amazing what it does. Here's what happened. I decided to interview couples that I could meet all over the country that seemed to be really in love, and their kids were all ages, and they seemed to really enjoy mom and dad. So I just started my own research, and there's a psychologist, professor in our country that does this kind of research specifically, where he interviews families and does surveys all over the nation, and he's come up with 6 things that make a real loving family. Well, I've taken 2 of those and just had them for this close-knit thought. But I had already learned this in my own experience and my own research, and when I saw his research, I said, hey, this is really confirmed, and it is effective. Here's what happens. I ask all these families, what do you think causes you to be so much in love and so close? And all the families I interviewed said basically the same thing. And when I would get the kids separate, they'd say the same thing. They said this: we do a lot of things together. I didn't know what I was going to hear. I could have heard anything. So I thought, okay, put down. We do a lot of things together. And I kept hearing this over and over again. Then I thought, well, what kind of things do you do together? I mean, what do you do? And I kept hearing, I said, if you could pick one activity that you think is the most important, what would that be? Every family, literally, that I talked to said the same thing. Camping. Isn't that amazing? I never would have known that. Never would have guessed it. In fact, how many of you really don't like camping that well? Let's see your hands. Okay, see this? A lot of people don't like camping. So I need to relax everyone to let you know that camping, because we did it for 15 years as a family. We don't do it as much anymore, because I feel like we're close enough. But we did it for 15 years, so that gives me some authority to say, after 15 years, that camping is not the secret, okay? It's what takes place in camping that is. But it doesn't have to be camping to get it. I'll show you what I mean. Our very first camping experience, we went to Florida from Chicago in a rented, borrowed pop-up. You know, one of those things, metal box, you know, and the tent pops out of it kind of thing. First night out in Kentucky. We were so excited. Here we are as a family, you know. This is great, isn't it? You know, fire, you know, and all this stuff, okay? Hey, we got into bed. Little tiny, big, long bed, just one bed. And little tiny divider. And so we were with the kids, and they were sound asleep, and we're holding hands, and it got romantic. The wind started, you know, kind of like Hawaii, you know, okay? And then pitter patter, and I thought, hey, is this great? And then wham, the storm hit, and the water came in such volume, it was, you know, leaking through and the wind was whipping us all over the place, you know, but the worst part of the whole thing was that the lightning was striking all around us. You know, and it wasn't a delay. Usually, you know, you can hear, you know, and then you see it and then you hear it. No, at the same time. Big pine trees, you know, frozen. About halfway through, it went for 1 hour. About halfway through, we're holding hands. Norma says, "Do you think we're going to blow over?" I said, "No, not a chance. I thought we were going to blow up, not over." I thought, this is it. We're dead. We're history. We're not going to make it through this. We're either going to be flooded out, or this is a metal box we're in. Boom, okay? Like a laser. Well, we made it through that. We went to other places. We went to the beach, you know, and we got down there, and we almost lost Greg. He almost fell off a pier because he had no fear at all, you know. And I split my lip trying to surf, you know, and I didn't know where to go, so I made my own little butterfly kind of thing, you know, a lot of pain. And Norma thought everything was funny that night, of course. And so we finally go home. I mean, disastrous things kept happening to us. And I kept thinking, and so did she, but we didn't discuss it. Is this really the secret of a close-knit? I mean, you got to do this to be close-knit kind of thing, you know? Well, we've done it, I mean, literally for years now. But it is, you don't have to camp to get this. Now, I'm not going to tell you the secret yet, because I want to show you how you don't have to camp to get it. It can happen in your home. About 3 years ago or so, Norma comes to me and says, "What do you want for Christmas?" You know, it's like November. And I hadn't thought about Christmas yet. And so I thought, I don't know. And I'm a short distance runner. You know, I like to run 2 to 3 miles, this kind of thing, every day. And so I said, I know what I'd like to have. It's one of those things you strap on your ankles, you know, and they have metal bars on them, and you hang upside down. No hooks on them. Or you can get the kind you know, lie on, you know, and then you could just put your arms back and you just turn upside down. And so your legs are stretching, your back stretching. And I've tried them in sports places before. I thought, I'll try this. So I said, well, it's pretty expensive, so I don't want to get something I don't use. You know all that stuff. You sell it in a garage sale for one fraction of what you pay for it. So anyway, I want to try it out. So I took an old pair of boots. Norma was gone one day, which turned out to be a good thing. I took an old pair of hiking boots, and I drilled holes in the heels, and I bolted 2 big metal hooks on the heels. And, I mean, I did this. I know it's hard to believe, but I didn't want to just spend this. So I went out in the garage, and I had a chin-up bar for the boys, and the kids were in the house somewhere, and I just figured I'll try it. So I got my stepladder up, and I got one leg up and clunk, you know, and the other leg clunk, you know, kind of thing. And I went down the stepladder, and I'm hanging upside down. My fingers are just touching the cement floor in the garage, and I'm feeling my muscles stretch. I'm thinking, hey, this is nice. I like this. And I'm there quite a while. And there is a history of heart failure in my family, you know, kind of thing. And so I started thinking I better get down, because I don't know, my face started to get hot, and I knew the blood was all going to my head, so I thought I better get down. So, but I stayed up too long. I can't get down. I'm trying to get my strength to put my leg up, and the hooks are too long, and I'm doing everything I can, and I can't. And I panic, and I think, uh-oh, I'm in big trouble. Can you imagine we have a garage door opener? Norma's going to come home in a few moments and open the garage door. I'm going to be dead. Hanging upside down, I committed suicide, she'll think. Weird way to do it, but... So I panic, see, so I scream for the kids. Of course, who comes to the door first? The family comedian, Greg. See? And he looks at me and falls on the ground and roars with laughter. He's beating the ground. He goes, Dad, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen. What are you doing? And I says, Greg, get off the floor and get me down. I'm dying up here. He can't get me off because he's laughing too hard. He's too weak. So we get the other two. Of course, they're mad at him when they come out because he hasn't helped me. And I'm screaming at all of them now. Now they're all tense. And I'm tense because I'm thinking it's stroke time any moment now. They can't get me off. I mean, literally, they cannot get me off. And so I'm screaming at Carrie to untie my shoelaces. They're too tight because it's been jammed up against her, So I say, go get the scissors. And she can't find the scissors. She finally finds them. She comes out in the garage. She cuts my shoelaces out. I fall out of the shoes. They never occurred to them to move the stepladder. It's aluminum. Cuts my leg real bad, big gash in my leg. Okay, I splatter against the cement floor, and they scatter. I can't find them because they know they're in big trouble. Now, that's a traumatic experience. That's a crisis, right? Now, I'm not camping, right? Anyone that lives in a home with people can go through stuff like that. I mean, maybe not that weird, but, you can, right? Now, what is the secret of close-knitness? It's true with families. You can get an office group to be closer. You can get any group you're involved in closer. The secret is shared crises together. Some kind of conflict from an outside force. It's struggling against an enemy. See, we were struggling. Anytime you camp, you can get your group to go to camps all over the country that are organized, go up there. If the food's not good, that's great, because that draws you closer together later on. Now, the bonding doesn't take place while you're in the middle of the crisis. That's the glue that's applied, slow-drying glue. It takes about 3 weeks for the glue to dry. And then all of a sudden you're laughing and slapping each other on the back and saying, was that a scream? But during the time, nobody's laughing. It's like the time we were skiing up in the mountains in California. And I get to the top, 11,000 feet, and I'm with Greg again, of all things. And the other two are somewhere, and I get stomach cramps. I don't know if the altitude or what it is, but I'm really cramping up. And so I say, Greg, and I'm bending over. I said, I got really bad cramps. We're going to have to go down. Because I didn't want the corresponding problem that you can have with cramps. And so I said, let's get going. So we're going down. About halfway down, I'm cramping up so bad, I slide over to the edge of the mountain, and I say, Greg, I'm really in big trouble. And so I take my skis off, and I have the corresponding problem. And of course, now it's cold out and snowing and everything else, so you have all this stuff on. And Greg thinks it's a scream. She's slapping the snow again, of course, and I go into the woods, to help myself, and I literally slip and fall, and I slide into the woods. So I'm in big trouble. So I finally get up, nobody wants to stand near me, and Greg says, I can hardly wait to tell everybody when we get back to now, do you think I'm close-knit with my son during that time? No. I want to strangle him. I want to say, did you say anything at all, kind of thing. Nobody feels close-knit during those times. The bonding doesn't take place then. The bonding takes place later on. See, that's part of the whole secret. I used to work with young people, high school and college age, all the time. We took a trip to Canada one time. One of the kids sliced the bottom of his foot after we'd canoed and portaged and everything else in this gorgeous water in Canada. Well, we had to go. And everybody was upset with him. He's goofing around anyway, kind of thing. So we're on our way back. It's late at night. I'm sleepy. We're in a van. I've got 6 teenagers in the car. And that could be trauma all by itself, right? You get close-knit later on just from that, if nothing else. I'm starting to doze off, and I'm driving. It's probably 2 in the morning, and I'm dozing a little bit, but I'm hanging in there. He sees my head bobbing. He doesn't say anything to me, so he whacks me on the back of the neck. Wham! Almost a whiplash, and I went, hey! I said, hey, who did that? He says, well, you were falling off, and I says, hey, you don't slap me in the back of the neck. Okay? So I pulled into a restaurant, somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and we eat. And I noticed something. I noticed that he put several things of jelly in his pocket. And I just happened to see it, you know. And then I noticed him sitting right behind me in the rearview mirror, and I noticed him dozing off. And I noticed he wants to lay down. He's kind of leaned against one of the other kids. And I think, wouldn't it be great? And I say, I'm going to try it. So I slam on the brakes in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the night. He flies against the seat and hits the ground, belly down. Smashes the jelly all over his body. I go, hey. Okay? Now, you think he liked me? No. But guess what? 3 weeks were tight. In fact, I saw him, and this has got to be 15, 20 years ago. I saw him just a couple of months ago up in Minnesota. Hey, we are so, even to this day, some of the college kids that I worked with back then, now they're doctors and lawyers and things, we're still close because we shared common crises together. Now, you can do that with your family. You can just throw all the kids in the station wagon and drive around for a couple hours until chaos breaks out. And then you go home and you're bonded later on. But don't try to be bonded during the time. It's like the time that Mike, we were camping again, see, and Greg and I were somewhere, and Mike was up this tree, and he falls about 10 feet up the tree, and before he hits the ground, he straddles a limb. Now, for boys, that's right. That's different than awe. Okay? That's right. Similar, because he is important. Now, boys go into hyperspace, you know, with that kind of thing. So, and I'm not around, so I finally come home, and he's in big pain. Mom's been trying to help him, and so I say, we got to get you to the doctor. He cut himself real bad. So we're in the middle of the mountains, and we drive, and I find this little clinic out in the nowhere. Guess who the doctor was on duty? A female. And so Mike goes, Dad, I can't do this. I can't do this, Dad. He says, please don't let her look at me. I said, Mike, I don't have any choice. It's the only doctor around. So she looks at him. He's mortified. You know, he's like, okay. She does what she can, you know, because we're too long in getting him in, I guess, and tells me how to doctor him, and he doesn't like that either, kind of thing. But anyway, we come back to camp, and everybody's uptight. And that's what usually happens in the middle of a crisis. So no one feels like cooking dinner or anything, so let's go out to eat, okay? So we find a place that's kind of like a poke and plum town in the middle of the mountains. You know what a poke and plum town is? You poke your head